Now we're going to get in a little bit of something that we now refer to as extreme ownership. A general-in-chief cannot exonerate himself from responsibility for his faults by pleading an order of his sovereign or the minister when the individual from whom it proceeds is at a distance from the field of operations and but partially or not at all acquainted with the actual conditions of things. So if I tell you to do something and it doesn't go well for you, you're out in the field and I told you, hey, charge this machine gun nest, and you do it and everyone dies, and you come back and say, hey, it wasn't my fault, it was Jocko's fault. The point is here, no, doesn't work that way. Does not work that way. Hence, it follows that every general-in-chief who undertakes to execute a plan which he knows to be bad is culpable. So, if I tell you to go attack that machine gun nest and you know it's a bad plan and you execute it anyways, your fault.
That's kind of like, that whole idea is you take responsibility for your direct actions, right? So it's kind of like if you do the opposite of that, it's like, okay, I was speeding. I got caught, right? I got speeding. I got a ticket. Is that my fault? Because yes, it's my fault. But in a way, if I don't want to exercise this concept, in a way, it's my parents' fault for having me. Or maybe not teaching me the value of following traffic
I'm not going
laws.
to have this discussion with you. That's just completely ridiculous.
It's the same thing, though.
You can't blame your parents for your speeding, Echo Charles.
That's what I'm
saying. I'm not going to let you do that.
That's the point. That's the point I'm making.
And the point here is that if you're doing something, this is even more of an extreme point. This is if your parents tell you to speed and you go out and get caught speeding and pulled over, you go, hey, my parents told me to speed.
Right, even more direct.
That's what I'm saying is you knew it was wrong. You knew you shouldn't be doing it. Right. And what Napoleon is saying is it's your fault. You're culpable.
Gotcha.
Period.
Would you suggest, let's say,
period,
you knew it was wrong. Would a better plan of action be expressed that you know that the mission or whatever is wrong?
Yeah, you should be like, hey, I'm not doing this. Oh, in fact, he goes on. He should communicate his reasons, insist on a change of plan, and finally resign his commission rather than become the instrument of his army's ruin. This is probably the most powerful thing we're going to talk about tonight. I'm going to read it again. A general-in-chief cannot exonerate himself from responsibility for his faults by pleading an order of his sovereign or the minister when the individual from whom it proceeds is at a distance from the field of operations and but partially or not at all acquainted with the actual condition of things. So this is an order that's coming on from high from somebody that doesn't know. Hence it follows that every general-in-chief who undertakes to execute a plan which he knows to be bad is culpable. He should communicate his reasons, insist on a change of plan, and finally resign his commission. So quit his job rather than become an instrument of his army's ruin. Every general-in-chief who, in consequence of orders from his superiors, gives battle with the certainty of defeat is equally culpable. This is ownership. This is, hey, I got told to do something. I don't agree with it. Hey, boss, you got to listen to me here. This is not the way we need to execute this. Here's a better plan. Here's another plan. Here's an alternative. Because if you give battle with the certainty of defeat, you're culpable. Regardless of who told you to do what. Individual responsibility. And this is especially important to have this concept coming from somebody that was as egotistical and expected so much discipline from his troops to have Napoleon himself saying this. Like, if it's a bad order, you shouldn't do it. This is Napoleon saying this.
Right.
So that's how important it is to have this culture in your organization to make sure that everybody knows, regardless of what you get told, you've got to do the right thing. And it's everyone's individual responsibility to take extreme ownership of everything that's happening and not just say, you know what, I'm going to point my finger up the chain of command. Blame them when something goes wrong. I've talked about this before. You know how many times I blame my bosses for things that went wrong? No. Zero. Yeah. Never blame my bosses. How could it ever be their fault? I was in charge. And if they told me to do something that was stupid, I would tell them, look, I'm not doing that. Here's why. Let's find a better way.